Welcome to the Great Basin Prescribed Fire and Smoke Transport Briefing for Wednesday, February 14th. Over the last 7 to 14 days, we've seen precipitation and storms move across the Great Basin, bringing above normal precipitation to parts of southern Nevada, much of Utah, and southern and eastern Idaho. Some drier spots have been western Wyoming, central Idaho, and northwest and western Nevada into the Sierra. We haven't had much new snowfall over the last few days, just some light showers with more of high pressure ridge building in across the Great Basin. Our snow depths is indicated on the right, and you can see from our percent of normal snowpack that many areas of Nevada, Utah, Arizona, and even southern Idaho are near or just above normal. But again, some drier spots being the Sierra into western Nevada, which were struggling to hit 60% of normal. Similar conditions in central Idaho and western Wyoming. The satellite loop from this morning shows another change in the weather patterns, so storms returning to the Great Basin. We have one storm system off the northern California coast, which is currently pushing cloud cover and some light shower activity into northern California and western Nevada. This will continue tracking eastward into the Great Basin, again bringing some precipitation to mainly the northern half of the region over the next couple of days. So it looks like still drier conditions for southern areas of the Great Basin. So for later today, again, you can see that moisture move across the Great Basin and better chances of showers over the northern half of the region. We will also have gusty winds moving in out ahead of this area of low pressure, so we'll see better dispersion over the northern half of the Great Basin as well. You can see from the transport winds, generally gustier today in the Sierra, western and northern Nevada, and into far southern Idaho, and also picking up in parts of northern Utah in the higher terrain, and mixing heights will remain low to moderate. Temperatures will remain near to above normal in most areas, and relative humidity generally above 30%. As we move into tomorrow, this first system exits the Great Basin, so we'll see some lingering showers, at least early over the eastern areas of Idaho, northern Utah, and Wyoming. But you can see some ridging off the west coast, but plenty of moisture spilling over the top of that ridge with low pressure well off the west coast. Winds will still be gusty on Thursday and even stronger than what we'll see today with, again, good dispersion over the northern half of the Great Basin. And you can see how those transport winds pick up with most of the gusts in the 30 to 40 or 45 mile per hour range. So mixing heights will remain high with this dispersion. Temperatures again remain near to above normal and relative humidity still above 30%. On Friday, we will see still some moisture lingering over the northern areas of the Great Basin, but kind of in between systems. Winds will decrease, so we will see dispersion decrease as well. And you can see from the transport winds, the only gusty winds left are really over parts of Idaho into Wyoming and northern Utah. Temperatures really remain somewhat. Otherwise, we will see relative humidity drop a little bit across Nevada and Utah, but still, again, remaining above 30%. The 3-day amount of precipitation, you can see, again, these storms targeting the northern half of the Great Basin, with some heavier amounts in the northern Sierra and also over parts of central Idaho into Wyoming and the higher terrain that have been really left out of a lot of this recent precipitation. As we move into Saturday, we do have another storm system approaching the west coast, so we will see again an increase in precipitation later on Saturday into western areas of the Great Basin with this ridge pushing eastward. Winds will also be on the rise again across the western half of the Great Basin with better dispersion. Saturday night and Sunday is when the system will track across the Great Basin, so again we'll see that precipitation mainly affecting the northern half of the region over the weekend. And by Monday, the next storm system approaches the west coast, pushing moisture into the western side of the Great Basin, and then eventually across, again, mainly the western half of the area, but also up into Idaho by Tuesday. Precipitation going into the weekend, so Saturday through Monday morning, you can see again a little bit lighter amounts of precipitation in much of the Great Basin, but still keeping the drier conditions down south and the heavier precipitation really into California. And then looking at the early portion of next week, again, the system's really impacting California, bringing some heavy precipitation. We will see some good additions to the snowpack in the Sierra, but really for the Great Basin, more light to moderate shower activity. Again, a mix of rain and snow, especially with these warmer temperatures down in the lowest valleys. And then the 7-day total precipitation, obviously California getting the brunt of these storms, but still some good amounts into the Sierra, especially on the east side, and then also up into Idaho and Wyoming, seeing some decent snowfall amounts in the higher terrain. The 8 to 14-day outlook, taking us from February 21st through the 27th, shows still that wet pattern impacting much of the west coast, so really California, even parts of the northwest and the western half of the Great Basin, but still that more moderated above normal signature really covering the Great Basin and going down into Arizona. Temperature is kind of a mix of near normal, above normal, even some below normal, really closer to those areas of low pressure with the heavier precip in California. That concludes the webcast for today. Check back on Friday for the latest updates.